Okay, and for parallel lines, we want to create a flat, smooth appearance. So I'm going to use my pencil and ruler, and I'm going to divide this section into three. You could do more if you want, but I'm just going to divide this into three little columns. So we can create a little bit of contrast between our gradients. So parallel lines is very similar to how we started with cross hatching. So I'm going to start on one side and I'm going to try to stay within those lines, which will be the trickiest part. If you want, you could put the straight edge of something there as a kind of a bumper. And as you're moving your way across, I want you to decrease the density by increasing the space between. Okay, so just like our cross hatching, we're going to have it really tight to create a dark value. And we're going to have it sort of medium density for a medium value. And then you have to be super thoughtful when you get over here to your light values. You have to be very intentional because every mark matters when it's this thin, it's this sparse, okay? Reminds me of hairs on a bald person's head, right? Like when it's this sparse, every hair really matters. So I want you to be really careful about, just spreading those out just right. And then we're going to come down to this next section and we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to have our dense area over here. I'm going to turn my paper over because I am so used to working left to right. You probably are too. It's hard for me to, the motor skill is so ingrained. It's hard for me to work right to left. So I'm just going to turn my book, turn my page so I can still work left to right. And I'm going to do the same effect, but I'm just doing the opposite. Okay, so dark to light, so that we're contrasting. Okay, and I find it to be really helpful to have this little bumper here. If you don't have a ruler, you could use the edge of a book or the edge of a magazine or piece of paper, something else, anything else. Okay, and then let's start to make it sparse. Every line counts. You can always go back and darken your darkest areas. And like I said, with every mark counts. It counts in the dark area, in the middle, medium area too. You just have a little bit more time to adjust in those darker areas. Okay, and then I'm going to do the last section just like how I did the first. So I'll have my darkest area here. So I'm just making a contrast between that middle one. Okay, so this stippling is like a grainy texture, right? The contour lines, the ribbon, was sort of a smooth and flowing texture. The cross hatching is sort of a woven, kind of a burlap texture, huh? And this is a little bit smoother looking. Okay. There you go. There's your parallel lines. Okay. For scumbled lines, we're going to do one that's tangled and kind of a soft look. And we're going to do one that's wiry in appearance, it's not going to look as soft. So we're going to make kind of two small little samples right here, like the size of a dime, okay? So for the tangled one, I want you to just keep your device down. And so scumbling is when it's almost like really controlled scribbles. My son is in the bathtub and I am right next to that, so I'm sorry about the sound effects. Okay, so really continuous. And then our wiry appearance is going to be more linear, okay? Sort of like tangled up grass. Whereas our tangled one was more loopy. Okay. This could, you know, if you're thinking about like an emotion for this line, this feels very chaotic and like scrambled up and stressful. You know, this one feels a little bit more, well, it feels a little chaotic there in the dense area, but then there's some optimism over here, right? There's some kind of loopy, open areas. This just feels like a traffic jam down here, the wiry. So these different types of lines, right? Some things can feel very smooth, some things can feel kind of isolated and clustered, some can feel very flowing, right? Lines, just like color, can speak sort of a different language in how they're portrayed, the intent. Stylized scribbles. So this is sort of like handwriting, okay? Think about E, like just repeating a cursive E. You can try kind of a tight figure 8. I used to do this in elementary school. I would doodle, 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 doodle all day. Not much has changed. Okay, you can try sort of making a pattern. So something stylized means that you're intending to make it look like a repeated shape. Okay, so you can just show a few examples of stylized scribbles. Okay, let's go down to the crisscross lines. I'm actually going to switch over to the Sharpie again, the thick Sharpie, because bath time is coming to an end. So crisscross lines work great for grassy texture. And it's sort of when your marks don't have a true rhyme or reason. They're sort of just going every which direction, and grass is a really great example of that, where it's just sort of growing wild. Some of it's longer, some of it's shorter, some of it's more dense, some of it's less dense. So you can say grass or hair-like in appearance. Okay, and then the last one, wavy lines, you can show those in a lot of different ways. I sort of like to think of it as tree bark. It could have a very dizzying effect, right, when you had your wavy line drawings from the beginning of the year. Something I love about wavy lines is that you can sort of get into a rhythm of it for yourself. Your whole body feels it. And you can adjust just as you go, sort of on a whim. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just super organic. So I'm sort of letting this one area get a little bit more dense. You can do this however you want. Sort of like a little vortex It's a fun thing to do. Also fun to do with different colors. You can let your colors overlap if you're working with marker right now. Okay, so there you go. We're done with half the page, you guys. Good job. For these, I just want you to create 3 different value scales. So denser and thicker marks are going to show your darker values. Less dense and thinner marks will show your lighter values. And I'd like for you to do 3 different methods. Okay, so maybe you'll do a cross-hatching, maybe you'll design your own design in here, maybe you'll do some type of a wiry scumbling in one of these. So pick any 3 value methods that you want. You can use our example if you'd like, and make a value scale from dark, dense and thick marks to medium and down to light. Okay, thanks so much, guys. Bye.